This week, the name on the marquee has got to be Leon Rocky Edwards, who this past Saturday night at the Vivint Arena in Salt Lake City, Utah, in front of 18,000 strong, knocked out Kamaru Usman by a vicious head kick. The official time coming at 4 minutes and 4 seconds of round number 5. What was one of the greatest title fight wins, comebacks by knockout that you're ever going to see, that you've ever seen. Unreal. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Mark, let me throw it over to you first because I've been talking enough. Take us through that moment first, and of course give us your assessment of how that fight was playing out, obviously.
This fight, man, I mean, this whole entire moment and story and everything surrounding it, just incredible. The videos that are out now, they got the Rocky montage to Leon's corner yelling at him, saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" With the KO at the end. I mean, the amount of videos out right now are incredible. Did you see the one today where Kamaru was talking about if Leon did his homework and you see him training the left kick? Just incredible. But to get into the fight, first we have Leon come out in round 1, stuff a takedown, take Kamaru down for the first time ever in his career, and chase a sub. And, I mean, we are gassed all the way up. Like, he's showing everything that we thought he could, and even more in terms of the wrestling. And we're like, holy shit, like Leon Edwards. At least me, I'm like, I'm going to get it right. And then he falls into the pattern. And it's the same pattern we've seen from a lot of guys who Kamaru has fought. Not all, but a lot of guys, and even more so a lot of guys that Khabib fought in his time. And I get it. I get it that the pressure that a Khabib or a Kamaru puts on you must feel tremendous, and you feel like you need to back up. But Leon falls into that pattern, and a guy like Leon backing up all fight against Kamaru is taking away the number one reason that he has a real chance to beat Kamaru. And that reason is that he is a significantly more skilled striker. But when you back up for 15 minutes and you let your opponent, by 15 minutes I mean rounds 2 through 4, and you let your opponent dictate the space and the pace, couldn't decide which one I wanted to say, but they're both right, and force yourself to fight off your back foot and with your back to the cage, you are severely limiting your options. And that's what Leon did, and it was infuriating. And I couldn't believe it that he came this far to fight this way. His corner damn sure couldn't believe it. His corner was absolutely losing their minds, more or less saying, Leon, what the fuck are you doing in there? This is not why you came here. You got to wake up, so on and so on. And round 5 starts, more of the same. And there's a separation that happens around 2:25 left in the fight when they're stalled on the cage and Herb separates them. And from 2:25 onward, for the first time all fight long, Leon stops backing up. Maybe he said, I know I lost already, let me just go for it. Maybe it wasn't even a conscious decision. Maybe he just kind of fell into a rhythm and started doing it. But he stops backing up. And for everyone saying it was just one lucky head kick, I will counter that with the fact that Leon won every second of the next minute and a half that he stopped backing up. He wins it all. He's landing kicks. He's landing counters. Usman is trying to back him up, and instead of conceding, he'd feint or he'd throw something small, and Usman would pause, and Leon would take that step forward again to reset himself and not let himself get backed up. And all of a sudden, he has opened his toolbox to show everything that Leon Edwards can do. And because MMA is the wildest sport in the whole damn world, somehow, some way, we only needed 1+ minute of that toolbox being opened and him finally fighting the way he should have been fighting, and he finds it. He finds one of the greatest head kicks we will ever see in our lives. He puts the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world out cold, staring up at the lights. He jumps the cage. He Connor walks around the cage. He gives one of the greatest promos you'll ever hear in your life. He hits us all with pound-for-pound headshot dead, which will be etched in my brain forever. And he ascends the welterweight throne that he has always told us he would. He never doubted it. Here he is. What a fucking night.
Omar, take us through that head kick moment. What did you see? What made it so brilliant?
For a head kick that I feel like is almost perfectly set up to continuously mess people up, it's not utilized enough. We've seen TJ Dillashaw use that same combination against Barao, which enormously destroyed Barao's whole head. I feel like we've seen it somewhere else as well, and I can't remember now off the top of my head. But that straight, and it works honestly from either side. The lead side works the best because it's the fastest, because there's less telegraph involved. But I mean, it works from either side. But at the end of the day, we've seen now 2 weeks in a row what happens when people play too much boxing in a game where feet and knees are involved. Feet are not a word, but there it is. Okay. Dominic Cruz went full tilt and ate a foot right in his face as a result. Kamaru kept throwing his body all the way to the right to slip a punch. If you watch guys who fight Muay Thai, and I say that just because the fighting style is very different from boxing when you're doing Muay Thai. I actually recently started, there's some new guys who've come to the gym who are boxers by nature who are trying to learn Muay Thai. Their biggest issue is their posture and their stance, because they're not used to having to worry about anything below their belt. So there's a lot of ducking, a lot of dodging, a lot of crazy movements that, I keep telling them, you do that, bro, I'm going to kick you straight in your face.
Yeah.
And that we're seeing a lot of that now at this point. And we're seeing it at the highest level, which I think is very interesting. Slips and dodges, when you watch somebody who does Muay Thai, these dudes are in and out, in and out. There is no time for these guys to be all the way out, kind of calculating where they're going. These guys are in and out. And a lot of times when it comes to head kicks, these guys are dodging. They'll pull a Rafael Fiziev. That's a normal thing for Muay Thai fighters to do.
What are you talking about?
Kind of think of the Matrix that
go all the way back.
He goes all the way back, and McGregor's like,
Right.
"You just axe kick him." That's not how that works. That is a legitimate defense in Muay Thai is to slip those head kicks that way. So it was amazing to see Leon Edwards be able to set that up and execute it and just put on what somebody called, I don't know if it was Bisping or DC, but a Hail Mary pass during the Super Bowl.
I don't like that.
That's I did. I mean, that's as amazing as it gets.
That makes it sound lucky.
Was it not, though? Listen, as set up as it...
I don't think a Hail Mary implies luck necessarily. It implies that it seemed like you were dead and you pulled it out of your ass.
And there is a little luck involved, though. A little bit. At the end of the day, you're still, you could be as skilled as you want to be with Tom Brady. You're still throwing a ball however many yards and hoping the dude at the end can do his job, too. You know what I mean? The way Leon talked about being there that night, his body wasn't working with him. His body and his mind were doing two different things. So would I call it a little lucky that his body worked exactly the way he needed it to work, when it worked, and how it worked to get the result he needed? I'd give it a little bit of luck, and there's no shame in that. Rocky put in the hours. That combo is not luck. But how that combo landed, the moment it landed, with seconds left to go, hell yeah, dude, that's a little luck right there, man.
Yeah, I felt like...
Yeah. I don't know.
Just kind of slightly
in
counter
a good
what Mark
way.
was saying.
It's a good thing. He did work. I'm not taking anything away from him, but
He won the title.
it's a beautiful thing. That's one of the reasons I love this sport, is because shit like that can happen at any given moment.
At any moment. Yeah. I'm going to counter Mark a little bit. I feel like, yes, Leon does deserve credit. It was not a lucky kick because he was finally not backing up. But I also feel like it seemed like Usman finally took his foot off the gas a little bit, and he was kind of a little more content standing with Edwards in the middle of this final round, going into the final moments of the round. And he paid for it, man. He did.
It could have been part of it.
I don't think he fell asleep behind the wheel, but maybe he just got a little complacent. He was like, all right, I'll stand up and strike a little bit. I've been winning this whole fight.
And I also think that he thought that Rocky was gassed. I think he thought that Rocky didn't have anything left. But, Kamaru made two mistakes in that entire fight, and it cost him the title. The first one was allowing that body lock and getting that outside trip on him because who's ever done that to Kamaru Usman in the cage? Literally nobody.
That
And then the
didn't
second
work.
one, well, right, but it just those are literally the only two mistakes Kamaru made in the entire fight. Getting taken down in the first round, then he was basically perfect for the rest of the fight, and then made one more mistake where he dipped his head a little too far, and he ate a kick. Two mistakes cost him the title.
Mark, you have a rebuttal to my rebuttal?
I think it's possible that maybe Kamaru did start to feel a little too safe, but as much I'm not saying it's wrong, but just to counter it, you see moments, as I referenced a little earlier, where Kamaru does try to get that pressure going again. And Leon, instead of just accepting it and backing right up like he was doing all fight, anytime Kamaru walked forward, would throw feints or would tease a little knee or would do whatever it was, and Kamaru would pause and Leon would step into the space again to make Kamaru step backward.
That's great.
And I didn't see that all fight until then. So I think that as much as maybe Kamaru relaxed a little bit, I also think finally Leon changed the rhythm of the footwork and the spacing in that octagon. Kamaru was suddenly fighting in a rhythm he had not for the entire fight yet. It was different to him. And Leon throws the left kick to the body twice in that minute and a half before the head kick. One lands to the body, one lands to the belt line. Remember, they paused it for a second, and they were like, no, it's clean. Keep going. So he had Kamaru thinking about that kick to the body, and Kamaru left his head wide open. So there was a lot that went into it that was more than just Kamaru taking it easy.
It was beautiful.
And I guess I should let me rephrase the luck bit, because I don't want to take anything away from Leon Edwards. The luck really comes from Kamaru Usman going out. That head kick was going to land. The head kick landed beautifully, but Kamaru could have stumbled back. There are a lot of things that could have happened as a result of Kamaru getting hit by that leg.
Could have eaten it.
The fact that Kamaru went to sleep, well, kind of, his eyes were open. This is one of the scariest
he was
fucking
out.
things
He
I've ever
was
seen.
knocked out. He folded and he collapsed.
But the fact that he was out as a result of that kick, I mean, there's like a 1% luck right there, man. I mean, it's, again, a beautiful thing. It's the flip of the coin. It's what makes MMA so dangerous. You can be perfect for however long, and then one wrong move and your switch is off.
And that was a
Headshot,
picture perfect.
dead.
Yeah, picture perfect kick, man. Shin on
Dude,
chin.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a thing of beauty, man. A thing of beauty. And what
And
a
how about-
reversal.
we didn't even-
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You go ahead, Mike.
No, so what a reversal for Leon Edwards, man. Rounds 2, 3, and 4 were just a completely different fighter than that fighter in that final minute. Well, technically second to last minute, because it came right at the 1 minute mark, pretty much. I mean, the guy looked so sad on the stool. He looked like a sad puppy, like a lost puppy.
He looked like a guy who was like, I can't believe that this is how I'm fighting, but that he couldn't figure out how to change it somehow,
Yeah.
and he was just like broken.
I
But
fucking
that's
love his
kind
corner.
of the point I
man.
was going to say, that we didn't even mention the commentary and the timing of how that all ended, where they're saying, oh, he's done. It's just going to be a victory for him to get to the cards. And then you have John Anik say, that's not the cloth from which he is cut. And he can't even finish the sentence before the head kick happens. I mean, like, if that was in a movie, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm sure that was the commentary. And it literally is what happened. Like,
Yeah, I think Joe Rogan said, I think he's going to be complacent with a win here, or with a decision here.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Going to decision.
Dean Thomas kind of said so much as well when he chimed in as well.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
also,
Rogan says that, DC says, right, that's what Dean Thomas was saying. And then Anik says that's not the cloth from which he's cut.
but
Good
in the
for
and
John
also
Anik, bro. This is what makes John Anik like that dude.
Anik,
Because
man.
while
It's the
everybody's like, nah, I don't know. Leon seems like he's cool. John Anik's like, I don't think he is, man. That's not Leon Edwards. And just not to toot the horn again, but just like we knew Leon Edwards had it in him, John Anik knew he had it in him.
yeah, man.
John Anik made sure people knew before that head kick. Credit to John Anik, man. That's one of the greatest things ever.
During that minute when Leon was starting to build up his own momentum again, the commentators were saying, like, look what's happening. I think it might have been DC who was like, when Leon finally throws, it's good. Like, he's doing well.
Yeah.
And then, like, maybe 20, 30 seconds later, it happened. Good God. My God. What a fucking finish.
Dude, we have to talk about Leon Edwards' corner. Because
Okay. Yeah.
Leon Edwards' corner, I think frankly was a big deal. I think, we've heard a lot from guys like Mike Perry and stuff like that who say corners don't do shit, and they're just there to basically try to tell you what to do, and they're not in there, and this, that, and the other. And I don't necessarily disagree with him when it comes to bad corners, because we've seen bad cornering before. This cornering, though, was, I mean, it was kind of amazing to see, and it really was some movie shit, because you've got these guys in there yelling at Rocky, and I think one of the best points was, stop feeling sorry for yourself.
That was
Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Well, stop
You can
feeling
do
sorry
this.
for yourself.
Throw your hands. You got to throw your hands, Rock.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it
Dude,
was
that corner work after the second round, after the third round, after the fourth round, that was the parts that really made it quite cinematic.
Do you
I was
know?
overhearing.
Do you know
all
when
that
you're
stuff.
a great corner?
Don't
When
let him
you're-
bully you, son. Don't let him bully you.
Yeah, oh, that was such a good one.
When you are at home, not a
That was a
fighter,
movie.
watching these things, and you are listening to this corner, and you find yourself standing up trying to fight. That's a great fucking corner, bro. You got people around the world ready to scrap for no reason.
There were
Literally
yes.
a Rocky movie. Like, there's so many serendipitous things of this night. The fact that this man's nickname is Rocky, and it literally played out as a Rocky movie, corner and all, is just...
I wanted to ask real quick. Do we know that Leon Edwards, his nickname is Rocky because of the movie?
I don't know that.
I don't actually. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But if it wasn't then, it's gonna fucking be now.
Sure is now, man.
Yeah. I mean,
And man, isn't Usman also, he is like the perfect like Apollo Creed character. Like he's just so like picture perfect. He's so good.
Dude, even with his shirt open and everything, Jesus, now that you say it, he really was the Apollo Creed to this man's Rocky. My God.
Yes,
And-
he's
and
named
if
Rocky
you-
after Rocky, the movie.
And if you think about it,
cool.
right?
When he
Usman
fought as a
versus
kid.
Leon Edwards 1 was basically Rocky 1. Right? Rocky lost that fight in Rocky 1.
Yeah.
Came back, now we're in Rocky 2. Rocky wins the belt. Now, technically Rocky 3, we start getting into crazy territory. We don't need to get that far. But a trilogy with this fight, man. Now that we don't have to deal with altitude, now that they're going to be doing it in the UK, because the altitude I think plays a bigger part than I think a lot of people are really giving it credit for. You know, the altitude, everybody gassed that night. Everybody gassed by like the end of the first round in a majority of those fights. The elevation was definitely
Usman
an issue.
trains at altitude, so he wasn't affected at all.
Right. And I think that played a lot into Rocky's. I 100% believe that played into Rockhold bullshit. But now that they're going to be doing that rematch in the UK for the trilogy fight, I'm prepared to see.
I mean, we don't know that, but we hope.
Hopefully, it seems like Dana said that he's trying to do it in the UK.
Yeah,
where
he
in
said
the
he
UK
wants.
is where? But
And Usman said he's down, so
I bet he is. He'd fucking go to a garage to get his belt back.
Man, I love the variety of the different kinds of corner work, man. Of course, I love it when the round breaks and you go and the camera goes to the corner and the coach gives some kind of really technical advice, and he's like, you know, when he slips to the left, you got to throw the right hand, and we're gonna go with the teep up the middle, and you're like, yeah, that's totally what he should fucking do. And then, but moments like this when it's just like pure motivation and he's screaming at his guy and it just gives you fucking goosebumps, man. I love that.
The one of the best things was after that fight is over and the internet's having its fun and there's memes galore and all this stuff, and memes have been fantastic from this last event. But one of them had pictures of Trevor Whitman throughout the fight, just smiling, just this insane psycho smile. Usman gets smashed in the head, and Trevor Whitman's just teeth out. He's
He's
happy.
amazing, man. He's amazing.
Oh my God, they made him look like the
Love that
most
guy.
insane human being, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, man, I love Trevor. He might, I don't know. I kind of think of him as the best right now between
He's
Gaethje
up there.
and Rose and Kamaru.
yeah.
James
some
Krause is
amazing
one of
work.
my favorite
love
coaches
Krause.
now. At this
Dude, Krause
point.
is coming up as a coach for sure.
He's got a belt now with Moreno. I know he's a recent
Yeah.
addition, but listen, that body kick I think came from Krause, because I've never seen Moreno throw a body kick like that
Talking
before
about
in my life.
Moreno's body kick on Kai Kara
On Kai Kara, Kai Kara France.
All right, let's stay on topic here. This thing's gonna get clipped up in an Usman
right.
Edwards clip.
Oh boy.
All right, well, we're not going to really have to talk about what's next for these guys at welterweight because most likely they're going to rematch for their third fight probably in the UK, as we've been alluding to. So that being said, anything else you guys want to talk about of this amazing main event of UFC 278?
Yeah, I would just say obviously we got to do it. Kamaru was 15-0 in the UFC, defended his belt like 5 times, I think.
Something like that.
5 times? 5 times?
5, 6 times.
He's already beaten Leon before. It's a trilogy. He was 1 minute away from beating him again. Obviously, we got to do the rematch. In the meantime, I know you have the Chimaev hype train in full motion. But if he thrashes Nate, then you can just take assuming if Bilal gets by Sean Brady, you've got a great fight right there, just waiting in the wings for the winner of that. So I don't think the division gets messed up by them having to fight again. I think it's very easy to say, Chimaev, you're not getting a title shot right now off Nate. You got to do one more, and you pair up him and Bilal and go from there. Or, I mean, if Bilal loses, obviously there's other options, but that feels like the cleanest way that this thing could work itself out.
Yeah, man. Omar, you have anything to say about that?
I think the rematch needs to happen. The dude was millimeters away from tying Anderson Silva's record, and now that will probably never come to pass at this point. So definitely needs to happen. And like I said, I want as much as people, I don't either count the elevation or care about the elevation. I kind of hate the elevation because it's always going to be like a little
I always
asterisk.
think that, dude. I wish we just didn't do fights in places with elevation.
Yeah, and it's not like Salt Lake, Utah was like the place you had to go. The most hilarious thing was
popping though in Salt Lake. The
most hilarious thing was so Leon Edwards had never heard of Utah before in his life before this event.
Really, that's so funny.
Never. He'd never. I mean, it's not that crazy.
That's
I mean,
true.
I guarantee you, we've never
state.
heard of half of the UK places, right?
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
So he's never heard of Salt Lake City, Utah, and Ariel asks him, "Tell me how many black people you've seen in here." He's like, "None." He's like, "I think I saw one in the mall the other day while we were shopping, but that was about it." And they were like, "Do they know what you're doing over there?" I was like, "They know now. I've been telling everybody I see." I was like, "All right."
That's so funny.
That's great.
All right, boys. Well, let's move on.